December regular town board meeting. And if you would all please join in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilwoman Estley?
Present.
Councilman Marasco?
Here.
Councilman Perticone?
Here.
Councilwoman Skrobak? Supervisor DeRizio?
Here.
And attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, because we have an exciting swearing-in ceremony, and I know that some of our people here tonight are anxious to get on to another function. So, if I could ask the chief to come forward, please.
If I could have Sergeant Jim Reed come forward, please, with his family. Hey, guys.
Hi.
How you doing?
I remember you from the cookout, right, buddy?
Yeah, how are you?
Relax.
You said you were in a hurry.
No, I'm not, but...
Yeah.
And if you would place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand, please. I, James Reed,
I, James Reed,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will defend the Constitution
that I will defend the Constitution
of the United States and the state of New York.
of the United States and the state of New York.
I will enforce all of the laws
I will enforce all of the laws
of the state of New York and town of Irondequoit.
of the state of New York and the town of Irondequoit.
I will fulfill the duties
Fulfill the duties
of the rank of police sergeant
of the rank of police sergeant
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
I will obey all orders,
I will obey all orders,
rules, and regulations of the Irondequoit Police Department,
rules, and regulations of the Irondequoit Police Department,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I will serve,
I will serve,
protect,
protect,
and guide the citizens of the town of Irondequoit.
and guide the citizens of the town of Irondequoit.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Sergeant Reed is a 16-and-a-half-year veteran of law enforcement experience. He comes to us with a great deal of talent and desire to serve this community. He's a town resident, raising his family here, and he's going to be a fine addition to the command staff of the Irondequoit Police Department. Sergeant Reed.
Thanks, Chief. I have a lot of people to thank, starting with Chief Tantello and Supervisor DeRizio. I'm extremely proud and honored to be standing here tonight, fulfilling the rank of police sergeant. If you don't know me, my family has a long tradition in law enforcement, including my father, who was a 22-year veteran of the Rochester Police Department, my father-in-law, who's a RPD veteran, my brother-in-law, who's an RPD officer. So this is kind of runs in my family. So I'm extremely proud and happy to be here. I want to thank the town board for this opportunity. I want to thank all of my coworkers. I'm proud to serve with you guys and girls, and I look forward to being alongside and help supervise you. Jimmy, you know I got to thank you. Jim Frascati helped actually recruit me to the Irondequoit Police Department 11 years ago. So thanks for everything. I think that's pretty much it. I want to thank my wife. Yeah, that's the most important. All right.
Saved the best for last.
I was getting the evil eye, but
He saved the best for last.
I really couldn't do it without you. You know, it's this career takes a toll and takes me away from the family quite a bit, and you hold everything together, and I love you very much, and I'm proud to have you and the boys here with me tonight. So,
And we're very proud.
thank you.
I don't want to bump the supervisor. Okay. If we have another very special recognition to present tonight, a very heroic event that we want to bring forward to the community. If I can have Mr. Murray come forward, please, with his family, as well as the members of the Langley family, Chief Masterson from the St. Paul Fire Department, and Officer Jason Allen from the Irondequoit Police Department. Let's make sure these guys can be seen. Don't let this podium block you. Move over. There you go. Yeah, that's it. Now everybody can see you. In November of this year, the St. Paul Fire Department and the Irondequoit Police Department responded to a structure fire in which an individual needed some assistance. In order to kind of set the tone for the reason that we're here tonight, I'm going to have Chief Masterson explain the situation that took place and why we're presenting this recognition this evening. Chief?
Thank you, sir. We initially had dispatch for smoke coming from a house with a individual being pulled from the structure by his neighbor. Upon arrival, the house was pretty much fully involved with heavy smoke, fire from the Bravo side of the structure, the kitchen side, and there was a significant amount of heat and smoke pouring from the structure. Not too far into the incident, we realized that the one occupant had been removed by his neighbor. He was an elderly gentleman, unable to exit the structure by himself and needed some assistance. And we were thankful that Mr. Murray was there and able to rescue him from the structure.
Officer Allen was also on scene. Officer Allen submitted Mr. Murray for this recognition, and I'd like to read from the submission that was presented to us. On the 21st of November, a 97-year-old Irondequoit man was helped from his smoke-filled house by an alert neighbor, Mr. Adam Murray, who saw the smoke coming from the home. Without regard for his own personal safety, Adam Murray immediately entered the residence and found his neighbor in the kitchen area of the house, but unaware of the danger that was presented. Without that regard for his personal safety, Mr. Murray safely guided his neighbor out of the burning home while St. Paul firefighters and Irondequoit police officers responded to the structure fire call. The heroic actions of Mr. Murray are worthy of this recognition, and it is my pleasure, honor, and privilege to present him with the Irondequoit Police Department Life Saving Award. Congratulations, Mr. Murray.
I wanted to thank everybody. I've gotten a tremendous amount of support, and thank the Langleys too. You know, I'm just glad I was home from work that day. I did have to explain to my boss why I was mowing my lawn, not working. But other than that, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
We do have a representative from the Langley family, and I just wanted to have them as their personal touch to this, ma'am.
You want to thank the Langley family? The Langley family wants to thank you. Without you, we wouldn't have had the wonderful Thanksgiving that we had. We are very thrilled that his one day a week to work from home happened to be the day that the oatmeal went a little awry. And because of that, my father-in-law is very healthy and happily situated in assisted living and doing very well. My girls and my husband and my older daughter, who couldn't be with us here tonight, and her husband, want to thank them from the bottom of our hearts for being so alert and taking care of everything the way you did. So thank you so much. Thank you.
We have a few housekeeping items to mention. This one was brought to our attention today. DEC announces a temporary blackout period for sporting sales and game harvest reporting. Our department needs to listen to this too, Chief. New York State Department Environmental Conservation Commissioner today announced that beginning Thursday, December 26, the public will not be able to purchase hunting, fishing, or trapping licenses or secure a recreational marine fishing registration or report their harvested game. The temporary blackout period is due to a transition that DEC will undergo from the current computerized licensing system to a newly developed system, and it is expected to last approximately 1 to 2 weeks. If you have any questions, we would encourage you to go to the DEC website. So probably if they do something before December 26th, they should be okay. So another item is Basic Star. We have less than 2 weeks left for anyone to register for Basic Star. Remember, you must do it on the website or with the secure phone number. We are unable to do that for you, but you must do that by December 31st, 2013 to be guaranteed your Basic Star for the school tax year of 2014-2015. In terms of the senior, enhanced, and low income, remember that must be done by March 1st, 2014. So anyone who is responsible for parents, please make sure that your parents have taken care of their registration. Some seniors are on automatic renewal, but for those that are not, please be sure that it's done before March 1st, 2014. Also, we've had quite a winter, and I was told today that we have had more snow than what happened at the same time in 2008. So we really have appreciated everybody working conscientiously in making sure their residential plow drivers are keeping the sidewalks clean, that snow's not being pushed into the sidewalks as well as into the roads. In Irondequoit, it's really tough when we receive such snow accumulations because there's just no place to put the snow, so it does get piled up. Therefore, because snow is piling, we must be very careful when we are traversing the streets to make sure children aren't running out from snow drifts or runners or walkers that are in the road. So please exercise greater caution during these extreme snowfall winters that we seem to be having this year. And now we will begin public comment, as at 7:35 we will have a public hearing. So at that point we may have to interrupt to move on to that item on the agenda. And our first speaker this evening is Stephanie Squicciarini.
Madam Supervisor, Stephanie Quatrini, 3360 Culver Road. On behalf of the entire Library Board of Trustees and the staff, I want to thank residents who, in a second, resounding and decisive response on the future of our library, again overwhelmingly passed the resolution giving the town permission to borrow money to build a centralized library. Almost exactly a year ago tonight, the town board and library boards presented the plans during a press conference. A lot has happened since then. And while we all know not all of it was pleasant, we have come out the other side of it with a consistently clear message. Residents want this library. The time has come for a change and a move forward. This message rang louder than any other. Twice, residents have made their intentions and desires clear. Much time, energy, and money has been spent getting us here. Let's move forward together without any further delay or additional costs. Let's put all of our focus into building the best possible library for our town. As we stated during our 23 public presentations, we are committed to considering all the feedback that we have gathered over the years of studies and community meetings. We honored that pledge when we scaled back the size of the building based on strong feedback from residents, and we will continue to honor that pledge. The library board and staff will be discussing ways to continue the discussion and engagement process, so this will truly be the library that the community together builds. Keep checking libraryproposal.com for updates and ways where you can help shape and develop your library. The library board takes very seriously the trust that residents again have given us, and we will continue to work hard to make Irondequoit proud. The staff and board will continue to study the complexities that will be involved in combining two branches, ensuring that, among other things, efficiency, fiscally sound decisions, and increased services are at the core. The combining of two buildings is much more than just moving two collections together, and it will take a lot of work to make sure the process and end results are as seamless as possible. We will work closely with the selected design team and the town board to make sure we have the best possible facility given the funding and space we have to work with. We feel quite confident that creativity of design will help us achieve that balance while also making sure that the neighborhood feel that so many residents enjoy and appreciate in our two current facilities is also realized. I want to thank this town board for having the courage and stamina to keep moving forward toward a goal of resolving the issues that have plagued our library and has been just out of our town's reach until now. I would particularly like to thank Councilman Perticone for his dedication to our library. He has been an invaluable liaison to the library board, giving consistently above and beyond. And to Supervisor DiRizio, I want to thank you for your leadership and selflessness beyond any measure that one person should have to endure in any given year. Irondequoit is a better town for your service to it. Thanks to our friends, supporters, volunteers, the Irondequoit Police Department, and huge kudos to Barb Janier for organizing such a well-organized day. And thanks to St. Catherine Christ the King Church for hosting our vote. Thank you and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Miriam Gantz.
My name is Miriam Gans, and I am bursting with pride for my town. First, I'm proud of Mary Joyce DiRizio, Paul Marasco, and Debbie Esley, who are the polar opposite of lame ducks, in that they have worked as hard after the election as they did before to ensure, among other things, that the people's wishes for the library proposal would be heard. Then I'm proud of Adam Bello, Lori Barnum, and David Seeley, who did not pander for votes from the groundlings, but rather were clear and unwavering in their support of the new library. I am so proud of Ann Ryan and the Friends of the Library, who come to every town board meeting and who worked at every informational forum to be sure that accurate information was cheerfully disseminated to all the residents. I am proud of those who answered the plea for volunteers to park cars at the vote, and although asked to sign up for only 1 or 2 hour shifts, many stayed for 4 or 5 hours, and some from 8:30 right straight through till after 6 p.m. It is doubtful that John Perticone and Fred Squicciarini are warm yet. Which brings us to Joe Janier, who not only paid 2 crews of security guards to guide us on Saturday, but he himself, despite facing knee replacement in January, was in that parking lot the entire day. I am proud of Mariana Russo and Barbara Janier and their election workers who ran an amazingly well-organized and almost line-free vote. I am super proud of Lisa Cole, who arranged for a crew of greeters from her fellow parishioners at St. Cattery to welcome and assist the many voters. There is not enough pride to say how proud I am of the library board, who have worked for a straight year now. The press conference announcing the new library was 1 year ago tomorrow. They made sure residents understood the plan and gave information down to the last detail to anyone who took the time to find out. Fortunately, the library board had the most powerful ally of all, the truth. And lastly, I am beyond proud of my fellow residents who, no matter how the Kool-Aid is flavored, know enough not to drink it, and who do know the difference between principal and interest, tax increases and tax rates, and the 20th and the 21st centuries. So, quoting Clement C. Moore, please let me say, Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
It's great to hear such positive things after so much negativity in town. Diane Zacharin.
Hello, everyone, and happy holidays. My name is Diane Zacharin. I live on Bellhurst Drive, and I'm here tonight on behalf of the HIP organization to comment on all these incentive proposals. We were surprised to learn yesterday that you are not holding a public hearing on this matter, as it involves your approval of 2 land acquisitions for our town with all the associated costs and liabilities that we're sure taxpayers would be interested in commenting on. We're curious why you chose not to hold a public hearing on this as you did for the I-Square incentives 2 years ago. We support all these requests to trade their portion of the conservation area for a 4,619 square foot credit, but recommend that you add language to the incentive resolution clearly stating why the town wants this land and what benefit we gain through its ownership. It's important to have this level of detail on the record for future reference so that it does not appear that we acquired this unusable land just so the applicant could have a bigger building. We do not support all these requests to trade their cost of the road construction and associated underground improvements for an additional 6,055 square foot credit. Unlike the I-Square road incentive, where Baker's Park replaced the town-owned Union Park, all these roads will be incremental in cost to our town's taxpayers, and we do not see how this added cost is offset by the benefit of ownership. What will the cost be to plow, maintain, and repair this road in the years to come? What will they be over the next 20 years? Absent a cost-benefit analysis, we believe having an access easement or agreement is a sufficient means of access to the conservation property without additional taxpayer expense. We do not understand why you would accept these additional costs and liabilities without investigating these other alternatives, and we strongly recommend you deny this portion of the incentive request. We also do not support all these requests to trade their cost of changing the Hudson Ave signal and repainting the travel lane for an additional 1,500 square foot credit, as we don't think it qualifies under the mixed-use code definition of an off-site public improvement. I-Square did not exercise incentives in the county right away, and we don't think they should be exercised in all these cases. All these has requested incentive credits totaling 12,174 square feet beyond the base restriction of 8,000 square feet in this district, which, if awarded, will provide them an opportunity to build a building bigger than the district maximum of 15,000 square feet. We know that your role later this evening is specific to the incentive credits, but our final recommendation is that you state your support for the 18 months of effort 10 years ago by so many in our community and within our government that developed the adopted master plan, and acknowledge the importance that individual building size limits have to this neighborhood commercial district. Consider recommending to Aldi's that regardless of their incentive award, they keep their building size under this limit. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Ellen Jones?
Mary Ellen Jones, 128 Thatcher Road. I'm guessing you probably don't recognize me not in purple tonight, but I decided it was a time of celebration. A lot of what I want to say has already been said, but I guess one thought I did want to bring out. I thought about this and how our whole country basically is going down the drain because people on both sides of the aisle are not willing to give up their position to make something good happen. Well, in the town of Arundequoit, I am so proud that that has not occurred here. Both sides of the aisle knew this was the right thing for the town and have been brave enough to stand up for it. You people all year have taken votes that I know weren't easy. What can I say about John Perticone, who sat through 5,000 meetings and ate 200 donuts to keep us on track? And Debbie, our endless cheerleader, I don't know what I can say to tell you how much we all appreciate. And then we get to Mary Joyce, who we would not be at the door of a new library were it not for your continued ongoing support. And I feel very confident that Adam is going to pick up that ball and take us home. All the work that went into getting us here was well worth it, in my opinion, and all of you deserve the credit. And just wanted to let you know how much that means.
Patty Fowler.
Good evening. I'd like to speak tonight about the Aldi's proposal that we're looking at for Hudson Avenue. There's many other vacant land pieces in Arundequoit that might be more well suited for a business of this sort instead of cutting down trees and taking away some of the green space that we have in that area. There's many people who have donated personal time and countless hours to really benefit the profile of our town, and it's just sort of feels to me like this is going against that. And that's all I really want to say. Thank you.
Mike Governale.
Good evening. Thank you all. I'm Mike Governale, 4164 St. Paul Boulevard, and I'd like to speak about the proposed Aldi development as well. I'm going to read a letter that I submitted to the planning board about a month and a half ago. As a longtime resident of Arundequoit with school-aged children, my wife and I applaud any effort to make our town safer and more enjoyable place to walk. That's why we strongly support groups like HIP, Helping Arundequoit Plan for Progress, that work hard to beautify our streets and add amenities for pedestrians and cyclists. And it's why we were so thrilled with the neo-urban design of the I-Square development, a project that focuses a great deal on improving the public realm and pedestrian accessibility. In the long run, these types of efforts will add a great deal of value to our community and help give Arundequoit a competitive edge over other places. I ask that we continue to build upon these efforts by assessing all new development through a similar lens. And if we take this approach when reviewing the plans for Aldi on Hudson Avenue, there are clearly three simple changes that should be required. Number one, the Aldi store and Retail A building should be repositioned to abut the Hudson Avenue sidewalk. All on-site parking should then be placed behind the building, out of sight from Hudson Avenue. Number two, the primary building entrances should be located at the Hudson Avenue sidewalk, and secondary entrances can, of course, be located off of the parking lot as well. Number three, on-site parking should be held to a minimum. The current plan shows 94 parking spaces, and for 22,000 square feet of mixed-use development, 94 spaces would be, in my opinion, overkill, and twice as much parking as required by the town code, section 235-30.7. These simple design considerations alone can benefit our community in many ways. The placement of buildings up against the street instead of setting them behind parking lots will help encourage pedestrian activity and establish an attractive character for our shopping districts. Not only is this better for our community, it's better for Aldi. Their store will have greater visibility from the street, and their parking lot will be easier to secure. I've actually come up with two site plan alternatives with the help of an architect and an engineer. I have letters of support from that architect and from the Rochester Cycling Alliance, and I'd like to submit the drawings to the town board. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Were these drawings submitted at the planning board along with this letter?
Yes.
Yes, the letter, right, yeah, Mary Joyce saw them. They were submitted about a month and a half ago to the planning board. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Kelly Lavin.
Kelly Lavin, Crestfield Drive. Last year around this time, I was up here letting you guys know that there was a problem with the snow plowing. Patrick, before I even got to my seat, was waiting for me to let me know that he would see that it was taken care of, and I just want to come up again this year and let you all know and let the town know that he has followed through on that, and our streets have been clear and easy to navigate this year. We have not had any problems. And in particular, on Saturday evening, after the vote and everything, the Seabreeze Parade, right before the trucks came down Culver Road, two of Patrick's snowplows came down and cleared the way for them. So I'd just like to thank Patrick for following through and keeping our streets clean. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to add a thank you to the Public Works Department, because I did hear accolades for their hard work also. And at this time, I'd like to thank the parade individuals who sponsored and created such a lovely venue. It was quite remarkable, and it was very touching that not only the fire districts that participated, but especially accolades should be given and respect should be given to the Seabreeze Fire Department and Laurelton Fire Department and Point Pleasant Fire Department for their courageous and valiant efforts in the tragedy that occurred on December 24th. It was very touching that the Laurelton Fire Department had also given a memorial piece to the two individuals that perished, Mike Ciparini and Tomas Kachowka. And I thought that was a very rewarding experience, and I think that we should commemorate those individuals in our mind. And as a board member, I would like to express my thanks to the community from the Seabreeze Fire District and all the participating fire districts. Thank you.
We have, 1 minute before the public hearing, so we'll have to suspend public comment. May I have a motion to go into the public hearing?
Move.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. We get to those sheets. Okay, who wants to lead off? Okay, this is in the matter of granting a special use permit to operate an outbuilding for 50 patrons for catered events at 1 Whipple Lane.
Good evening, Madam Supervisor. My name is John Sharaba. I'm here. I'm with Land Tech. I'm here with Sandra, who is co-owner of Tasteful Connections, and the other owners here this evening as well, and can answer any questions that I cannot. The reason we're here this evening is purely a business decision. The Tasteful Connections, as far as expanding their business, have decided to put a bar into their repertoire where they can cater outside of the facility to other venues. They applied to the New York State Liquor Board, and at that time, Liquor Board said that you need to have a residence where you can house 50 seats. So they took it upon themselves to look around Arundequoit and they found a facility within their own building. They're going to lease 2,600 square feet adjacent to their facility on Whipple Lane. They're going to lease that facility and continue on with their permit process. Sandra came to the town of Arundequoit to inquire about that process, was asked to go to the planning board. So she's been to the planning board workshop. We've been to a planning board for a public hearing. We've made application to the zoning board of appeals, and we're here this evening asking for a special permit. So in the interest of keeping business moving, we're looking for a favorable decision on the special permit so that she can get her liquor license and cater throughout Monroe County. Anything to add to that, Sandra?
Any questions? Did Councilor Primo wish to speak?
Sure. The planning board had taken a look at this application, had issued its own negative declaration with respect to environmental significance. Because they did that at an uncoordinated review, the town board has to adopt its own negative declaration. What you have in front of you is a resolution adopting a negative declaration with respect to environmental significance, and then also making a decision on the special use permit. As you can see, the way it's written is it's either tabled, denied, or approved. I don't know if Larry wants to go through the negative declaration. He drafted it up, but it basically goes through the various areas provided for under seeker, discusses each one of them. Most of the areas are irrelevant. You know, it's already developed site and everything else, and it's relatively straightforward. Well, Larry, I don't know if you want to say anything else about it.
I'm just going to add for the board, the public, and those people watching on television that the planning board took this as lead agency, and they granted a revised site plan for this, and the other two components are that the town board, our town code requires that any restaurant seating over 30 people needs town board approval. We'll have another one next month for Yo Berry over in Ridge Culver. So that's the town board's piece, and the planning board also referred this to the zoning board for an area variance because the existing parking is 41 spaces, and the necessary parking for all the businesses, if they were all operating, is 50, but because the businesses are this use, Sandra's Catering, an electrical supplier, and a kind of after a church that meets in the evening and on weekends, there is adequate parking for all the uses. So planning board was lead agency, town board has their piece per town code.
Okay. Councilor O'Reilly, did you have anything to add?
No, I don't think anything additional. The town board, or the planning board considered the matter very comprehensively. And the last component that was left is the use from the town board.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we would entertain those that would be in favor of this special use permit.
Anyone invited to speak on behalf?
I'm Fred Hamill, Washington Avenue, and for public record, I am in favor of this 100%.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak against the special use permit? It is interesting in this New York business climate that you have to take on an additional expenditure in order to be able to do other things in providing for your customers. But we appreciate it in Arundequoit.
Right, we thank you for staying in Arundequoit.
That's for sure.
I appreciate you keeping your business here.
Thank you. If you have any questions at all, I'm easy to find, so give me a call.
You didn't bring any fudge tonight, huh?
No, I figured it was all business, no fun.
That's
no
right, you don't
fun.
want to be accused, somebody will say you're bribing us.
Thank you.
That's true. Okay. Hearing no further discussion, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Yes, ma'am, so moved.
And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. The public hearing is closed. Okay. Therefore, we'll go on to the resolution and then resume public comment and move on to I will ask for a modification to the agenda.
Okay.
Give Mrs. Janier a chance to catch up.
Granting a special use permit to operate an outbuilding for 50 patrons for catered events at 1 Whipple Lane.
May I have a motion, please?
Yes, I'd be honored to move this.
And, and second. All right.
I would note that the resolution also adopts the negative declaration, which is attached.
Should we do that separately, Ed?
No, you can do it together.
Okay.
Technically, when you read the resolution, first you say, yes, we adopt the negative declaration, then you go forward and take action.
Okay. Whereas Sandra Holloway of Tasteful Connections is seeking a special use permit to operate an outbuilding for catered events at the south end of 1 Whipple Lane to accommodate 50 guests for prearranged catered events and to secure a liquor license for the catered events. And whereas property is zoned C commercial and a special use permit is required pursuant to Section 235-28A, subsection 8 of the Town of Arundecoit Municipal Code to allow restaurants or eating establishments, drinking establishments, grills, bars, etc., with seating provided for more than 30 patrons and outdoor entertainment provided in relation to such uses and following a public hearing. And whereas the Arundecoit Town Board has reviewed and considered the short environmental assessment form for the proposed special use permit, and whereas the Town Board held a public hearing on the matter on Tuesday, December 17th, 2013, and all parties entitled to be heard were heard. And now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board adopts the negative declaration for this special use permit in the form attached, and you will see all of the questions answered. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Point of order, since there's several options, it would probably be appropriate to seek an amendment picking one of those and then voting on the option as modified.
Okay.
Picking approved, denied,
Sure.
tabled, or approved with conditions.
Oh, I see.
So we'll just circle approved, but should we don't we need to vote before
Be it
we do
further
that?
Should be
resolved.
a motion to pick one of them, and second, vote on that, and then vote on the motion.
Oh, okay.
As amended.
Okay.
Madam Supervisor, I do ask that you would move in this sentence approved. Be it further resolved that the special use permit is hereby approved.
And may I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify the amending to approve, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now,
Discussion and vote on the motion as amended.
and any discussion on the motion as we have amended it since we have approved it? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Congratulations. And if I could ask Councilor Primo to remain as we just back up for the one public comment that remains, if that's okay, and then we will adjust the agenda for the evening, okay?
Yeah.
So our last speaker for public comment is Rob DeMathis.
Rob DeManis, live on Brookview Drive. I wanted to thank the three of you, especially for your service to this town. I want to thank you for keeping the tax rate even for the 4 years. Thank you for what you've given up to serve the town. And I know that many people are unaware of the workings of town government, but in these 4 years, I have learned a lot and realized how uninformed I was as a citizen. And I know what you have done in these 4 years. And I want to thank you for the library vote that passed, that we can move forward. And as you return to your private lives, know that there are people who are grateful for everything that you have done. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay, we will move to the financial report.
As of November 30th, 2013, total expenditures and encumbrances for the town are $24,420,000, 78% of budget, below the percent of the year that has elapsed, 91.7%. Actual expenditures are $23,751,000. The remaining $669,000 are committed expenses. Total general fund expenses are $14,151,000, 78% of budget. That, too, is lower than the percent of the year that has elapsed. $13.8 million of that total are actual year-to-date expenditures. Altogether, expenses in the highway funds are $4,975,000, 89% of budget. Although Highway 1 is above budget due to gas and fuel encumbrances, I'm happy to report that the percent of actual to budget for the combined highway funds is now below the 91.7% of the year that has elapsed. The library remains under budget at $1,482,000, 79% of budget. Sewer has expended $2,593,000. That's 67.8% of that fund's budget. Expenses in the stormwater drainage fund are only 37% of budget, equating to $293,000. To date, the general fund has received $15,878,000, 88% of the revenue budget for that fund. $10.3 million is tax revenue, $250,000 is payment in lieu of taxes. As of the end of November, the town had received 74% of sales tax, and that's sales tax revenue for the first 8 months of the year. The mortgage tax that's shown on the report is for the first 3 months of the year. However, today, we received $470,000 for the middle 6 months of the year, that's April through September, and that amount will be reflected in the December report. Please note that earlier in the year, the town received a budgeted amount of $613,000 for per capita state aid. A few other items to mention. Recreation fees are 82.5% of budget. Cemetery is at 109%. Other sources of revenue is currently running at 84.8%, and that's driven primarily by $329,000 of property maintenance and cleanup revenue. That budget has exceeded, that actual amount has exceeded the budget of $170,000. The actual is almost twice the amount of the budget.
Don't know whether to laugh or cry about it. Nice to have the income, not so nice why.
Right. It's a positive revenue source.
Right.
But I understand your position. In summary, revenue for the entire town after 11 months is $29 million, 93.2% of budget. Approximately $16.3 million of total revenue is real estate tax. To date, the library has received $1.8 million of revenue, 99% of budget. $5.6 million of revenue is in for the combined highway funds, which accounts for 100.8% of those funds. $3.8 million has been received by the sewer fund, 100.3% of the budgeted revenue for sewer. And this concludes my financial report for the month of November.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Approval of minutes. November 7th, 2013, the special town board public hearing meeting.
I'll move those. Second, please. Thank you. Did anyone find anything needing an addition, correction? Letter perfect. Hearing nothing, let us vote to approve these as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
And we have
Minutes
one
are
absent.
approved.
One absent.
Minutes approved.
The November 13, 2013, the workshop meeting.
I'll move. And a second,
Second.
please. Thank you. Did anyone find anything?
Very great.
Hearing none, let us vote to approve as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Minutes are approved as presented.
You've got an absent still, too, right?
And
Yeah.
November 19, 2013, the regular town board meeting.
Moved.
Second?
And did anyone find anything?
No.
They were lengthy. Thank you so much, Mrs. Janier.
Always. As if she didn't have enough else to do.
I know. No one has any idea. Hearing no additions or corrections, let us vote to approve as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Oh, and Paul has to abstain, yes. So 4 yes, 1 abstention.
Okay.
And what I would like to ask at this time, if we could adjust the agenda to move, while Mr. Primo is here, the motion for, which is number 12A 2013-5, adopt a resolution in the matter of accepting the public improvements.
Yes.
If we could move that to the beginning of community development items for board action. Does that require a motion?
Yes.
May I have a motion, please?
Yes, ma'am, so moved.
And a
Second.
second? Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay. Okay, Larry, if you would begin by reading this, please.
Does Barb need to present it first? You can just.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Item 12A, 2013-5, in the matter of accepting the public improvements associated with the Aldi project to allow the construction of a 16,852 square foot building.
Okay. Whereas the Aldi project proposes to construct 4 buildings totaling approximately 29,000 square feet, and whereas the MUC zoning allows 8,000 square feet per building, which would be a total of 32,000 square feet for the 4 proposed buildings, and whereas the MUC zoning allows buildings greater than 8,000 square feet up to a maximum of 15,000 square feet due to incentives of Section 235-30.9 public improvement, and whereas the Aldi project proposes to construct a 16,852 square foot building, 1,852 square feet greater than code, and whereas the Planning Board has recommended the Zoning Board of Appeals grant an area variance for the additional 1,852 square feet of space, which allows the optimal location of the loading dock, and whereas the Planning Board at their December 9th, 2013 meeting recommended approval of the increase from 8,000 gross square footage to 15,000 gross square footage based on the applicable public improvement incentives, whereas the Planning Board as lead agency in a coordinated review on December 9th, 2013 issued a negative declaration of environmental significance pursuant to 6 New York CRR Part 617, and such negative declaration is binding on all involved agencies and completes the seeker process. 6 New York CRR Section 617.6b 3, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the increase in gross floor area from 8,000 square feet to 15,000 square feet based on the incentives proposed and accepts those incentives. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Okay, thank you. If it appears like I was rushing to get to this point, it's, we have all these legal minds in here. I want to be able to take advantage of those.
And
Yes,
not have
with-
to pay for them any longer than we need to.
I
Yes.
didn't want to say it that way.
Yes, with respect
I
to
will.
the seeker review on this, as indicated by Larry in reading the resolution.
Where are you,
There
Ed?
had been a court, I'm back here. I'm at the staff table. What had happened there at this particular review is it was a coordinated review with the planning board being the lead agency. The town board had in fact agreed to that, and they did their own seeker review on it and issued the negative declaration, which has been sent to you. So that review with respect to the seeker issues is now complete, and as the resolution says, that becomes binding on all the other agencies. The main decision for this board is accepting the proposed amenities to increase the size of the building, or not accepting them because it's a board decision. So that's really what's in front of you now. Some of the public comments, there was, I think, one comment that I heard in the public session about why isn't there a public hearing? There's none required under the MUC code or under Town Law Section 64 about accepting dedications. You did have an opportunity, though, to hear many of the comments, though, that were made by people kind of repeating what they had said in front of the planning board, but some other new points that were raised. We do have the applicant here tonight. It was, all these was represented by APD Engineering, and Steve Gleason, wave your hand, Steve, is here if you want to at least see some more of the site plans or hear a little bit more about the incentives that are being offered.
Okay, I want to add to that the way the planning board went about this. As you note in the resolution, they're allowed 8,000 square per building times 4. They're allowed 32,000 square feet. So the original, or one of the original thoughts is, well, if you're only going to build 28,801 or less than that 32,000, why are we taking this long, tortuous route? However, we decided that we would do that and put this through the highest scrutiny. The next question is, and you should know that the building itself is actually, the mercantile portion of the building is actually 14,966 square feet. That's under New York State Building Code mercantile. So that would have to be heated to 68 degrees. There is an umbilical cord running along the north side to the loading dock, which is located at the eastern end of the building, so that the loading dock is not between the mercantile space of Aldi's grocery store and the slightly over 5,000 square foot space of another mercantile space that could be a dress shop or an art store or whatever someone thought was appropriate. So the loading dock, good site design, was located at the east end of the building, next to the stormwater infiltration basin, which will be heavily landscaped. So that's out of the way of pedestrian traffic. So that's what creates the 1,886 square feet of what is under the code storage space. And there was a letter, and this is covering old ground, but the 5,017 square foot second mercantile space is separated by from the Aldi space by a 2-hour firewall. So under the code, they are separate buildings. The code sees those as separate buildings. And this is actually, when we do these things, we look at other projects and make sure that we are applying things the same. The three future buildings that I squared total 37,200 square feet. They are slightly over 12,000, 15,000, and 9,600, but they are basically separated by a 2-hour firewall, so they are separate spaces under the building code. So it's the same thought process. And then in the incentives, There's obviously the donation of green space, which was identified in a 2005 report of land number 7 that we wanted to get a hold of for flood attenuation. And we just submitted the stormwater grant through Monroe County Stormwater Coalition to New York State DEC. I have been speaking with the owner of the property, Rick Shaheen, about acquiring more of the property than the 0.47 acres in this first phase. Also, the road, one of the first order of businesses is having this a dedicated road at a county intersection. The taxes that are paid on the property is what pays for road maintenance. The other thing that's been brought up several times is why can't this be a private sewer? And essentially private sewers were outlawed by the state legislature after the depression, in the 30s when private water and sewer companies went out of business because people didn't pay their bills, and you cannot have a sewer and charge the guy upstream to provide sewers. That is why we have a DPW. That is why we have a sewer department. So they originally would have put in a 4-inch lateral, which would have satisfied their needs, and we directed them that we wanted an 8-inch, which is the minimum size pipe allowed by 10 state standards, and we wanted an 8-inch with their lateral taken off that. So that sewer is now extended to the back land, which is a little over 4 acres of R5 apartments. So we're not creating a landlocked parcel under subdivision law. It has access with a public right-of-way, it has public water supply, and has public sewers. So there's a lot that goes into engineering design and review of the planning board. I note that the public hearing was open for 70 days from September 30th to December 9th. The zoning board also had a public hearing at their meeting on October 7th. Also, we are following the same process as I Squared because I made copies of the resolution for I Squared. So we're, in my opinion and to the best of my knowledge, we are not doing anything differently than we did, other than it's a different project on a different road in a different context. That's it for now.
So there have been 2 public hearings on this proposal already.
We had a public hearing on 9/30, September 30th, and we had a public hearing on 12/9. And the reason the planning board left it open for 70 days of comment is that every piece of communication was received and then distributed to the planning board, including the, what I'll call the conceptual site plans or puff pieces that were submitted that were referenced tonight. So those were sent to the planning board, and they can be addressed by Mr. Cleason if you'd like him to address those.
No, that's fine. I do want to just address, I have had a couple of other residents concerned that that green space would now, if you can call it green space, it's mostly just brush and weeds, but would be gone. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Larry, but this was a piece of property owned by a private citizen and sold to a business, and that the town had no claim to this property whatsoever. Is that correct?
Yes, the town has never owned it. I'm aware that there are some residents that were told by their realtors that the land behind them was Forever Wild Town Parkland. That was never the case. Under the plans that we have would be that approximately 2.3 acres would go to the town, what is the ravine and the stream. And the average is about 135 feet that people would have from their back line on Plaza Drive to the other side of the ravine that truly would be town parkland. Passive park, but it would be town-owned land.
Thank you.
Just to make a comment, Larry, I mean, you know, the planning board was the lead agency here. What I'm seeing, I watched some of the planning board meetings. I believe the planning board was extremely thorough in what we're talking about here. Basically, what you need from the town board is just to increase from 15,000 to 16,852. Correct?
No, 8,000.
No, we're going to go from we're going to make up the difference of 7,000 square feet between 8,000 and 15,000.
Okay.
And we're going to rely on the zoning board to grant the area variance for the increase for the umbilical cord of storage space so that the loading dock can be located where good site planning dictates it be located. Also, I'll note that APD Engineering submitted at our request tractor-trailer turning movements that showed how a tractor-trailer would access the loading dock and would leave the loading dock on the roads with not making trips through the parking lot, which the other two site plans really don't address that. And in their defense, they are not representing the owners of the property or the applicant, and they never submitted full engineering plans or reports or things like that. So we did look at all of these things. This is the planning board's job. And also, when we went out to involved agencies, just so you know, it was just like the library process. We went out to Monroe County Planning, Monroe County Transportation, Monroe County Water Authority, Monroe County Health Department, Town Board, Zoning Board, and none of them had any interest in taking the planning board's role as lead agency.
Any discussion by town board members?
Larry, has anyone addressed the dedication of the road and the cost over a period of 20 years?
No, this is really kind of come up at the last minute. Typically, the roads are dedicated. Roads are designed to town standards. They're taken under dedication by the superintendent of highways. And, you know, the first words when I talked to Monroe County Traffic Engineering about this four-way intersection, they said, the same question was asked about I-squared. Is this a public road or a private road? And I said, no, it's a dedicated road. They said, good, that's what we want. Okay, the other thing is that having access to the 4 acres of R5 in the back over a dedicated road is the proper way to do this. I consider this that it should be an easement and the town shouldn't do this and that and whatever, to be basically a distraction and smoke screen. Same with the town. This should be a sewer that flies in the face of public health law. That's my personal opinion. That's why they have not asked for any tax breaks. They're not getting any grants. They will pay full taxes.
Steve Gleason with APD. I can speak a little.
Come right on up to the microphone, so that way they can hear you at home.
Okay. We addressed some of this during the planning board as well with the road. The large cost of the road is really the construction, and the construction of the initial road is going to be built and paid for by the developer. So, you know, what you're receiving is a road completed and inspected by your department. So it's the large cost is there. Now, again, would there be plowing? Yes, but there's a number of new facilities there, property taxes and other things that pay for those areas. Also, we went through benefits and went through a number of benefits of what this does in the projects dedicating both the road as well as the open space. And that was part of what we presented to the planning board, which I'd be happy to read through those if you'd like me to. This was part of a response letter that we did to HIP when they made the announcement that they had basically the same statements, that there was no benefit to the town of taking these areas. So we wrote back a number of bullet items of why there is benefits to that. So happy to read it to you. Or?
Just quickly, bullet.
Yeah, basically, you know, the dedicated lands are for the open space, would provide buffers to basically the properties there, which has already been discussed. The dedicated lands would provide a forever wild, which is one of the items that was brought up 2 or 3 times during the public hearings. The dedicated lands are going to be a future opportunity for parks, if that was something that the town would look at. The dedicated lands are also possible of future use for the flooding concerns that were there. You need this property. The town needs to own those to be able to create that flood attenuation so that they can resolve those flood issues. The dedicated road then guarantees access to that property. If it was an easement, there's been a number of easements that we discussed at length with the attorneys, and I'm not an attorney, I don't want to pretend to be one, but there has been complications with easements down the road where if you own and actually dedicate the road, those go away because you have the property under control. The dedicated also opens access to the open space. It's now, again, you don't have to worry about an easement being complicated by having public access. That's more complicated than just the town, because now you're asking public to go back to an open space that you might want to develop as a park. All those concerns go away now because now it's a dedicated road. So if you want to create a park back there, that's through a dedicated open lands, as well as because it's a dedicated road, it allows for the access and development of that property in the rear. Also, the dedicated utilities will also provide that ability to dedicate and build and construct in the back property as well. And again, part of the presentation is this is a mixed use. That development of the residential in the rear is going to help us create that flow, which we just, do great lengths with the planning board of why this orientation works so well from Hudson Avenue, as well as with the flow through the residential in the back. We've shown them that we've going to have sidewalks right straight through so the residential can flow through this new development as well and then out to Hudson. So those are the bullet items that we had in that, as well as we had an engineer's letter that described the incentives. And then the town went back through and redid their own calculations on that as well to verify all the numbers.
So there was no issue with the planning board in terms of the dedication of the road or anything?
No, we went to quite extensive review on all of these items, and again, I have some plans that can, show you where those open spaces as well. I brought whatever you would like to look at. We have those. I also have the elevations of the building and kind of a perspective of what it would look like from the road, if you'd like to see those as well.
Yes, I followed some of the meetings and
Okay,
you know,
well, that's why
it was
I don't
on
like
and
to waste
off.
your time either. That's why I didn't do a full, we've done a number of presentations that were available to everyone.
It's always good for the people at home to hear it, too. So
Yeah.
that's great, thank you. It's also my understanding, and I'm not sure, did you meet with the supervisor-elect?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and I know that there was some collaboration there as well, so he's been informed on all of this.
We wanted to make sure that there was a concerns and that, we could address them, that we did do that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I just also want to reiterate that all the way through these notes, that there has been numerous modifications made to this site plan, that it's not the original site plan. We've added benches, we've added bike racks, we've added more interior green space, considerable amount of landscaping. We've upgraded the building facades as well as added green space along the one wall. And we went through the noise concerns, then how this orientation works very well of protecting the different residents from the noise. And actually how we believe, and we've given that opinion out to the board, and they agreed that it actually enhances the pedestrian access from Hudson Avenue.
There was just one residential group that had concerns where.
Well, I mean,
Those letters.
in regards to a group, yes, the HIP group was the one group that we received letters from. I mean, there was other residents that had spoke at the public hearing, and we tried to make sure that we are including any of their concerns when we were making the modifications to the site plan
Were their
itself.
concerns rectified?
As far as we can understand, to the town, I can tell you to the planning board satisfaction, yes. I mean, they approved it, and we had no one vote against it. And like I say, anything that we could incorporate, we did, that made sense.
Prior to this project coming to the town, we had been discussing approaching the landowner about acquiring some of that property for water attenuation, for mitigating other watershed issues that we have in town. So the idea of it wasn't anything new that was spurred by this project.
Right, and we've explained to the planning board and that we do not have control of that property in the rear. It was not part of the business deal for this property. However, we have worked very closely with both your staff as well as the property owner to at least initiate those conversations, and we believe that it's well on its way to hopefully becoming a reality.
That's our understanding as well. Thank you.
And I'll add for the board, I spoke with Brock Powell today, a gentleman that lives over on North Point Trail. And we had a nice conversation. I believe he is in his 80s, because I said you're the same age as my father. And his concern, he's basically about 850 feet from the back of Aldi's. For the board's knowledge, there are 2 people on Dale's side that abut what will be the green space. There are 5 people on Plaza Drive that will abut the green space, and then Mr. Powell on North Point Trail. But his concern, which I will take under advisement, is that right now the kids go down there and play. So he doesn't want us to make it easier for them to go down there and mess around and create a nuisance. And I told him my number one driver was the flood attenuation, so that people downstream at Titus and down on Bellmead and further down were not getting the kind of volumes that they get today, and that my secondary driver would be Passive Park or Woodland. So I just want to let you know I had about a 20-minute conversation with the neighbor. He expressed what his concerns were, and we will take that under advisement. The one thing I pointed out, that with a road and with access there, there'll be more scrutiny at kids playing on private property, doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
Larry, if we could stop that, we'd be billionaires.
Happens all over town.
They want to be a nuisance, they'll be a nuisance anywhere they want to be. It's the nature of the beast. I can say that after having 4 children. I say it lovingly, I really do.
Any other discussion?
I guess my concerns have been alleviated.
No concerns? Irene?
And Ed, you're confident that the public hearings that have been held are sufficient, that the incoming town board will be in good legal standing if we move forward?
Yeah, there's no requirement for a public hearing for acceptance.
Another public hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And the only thing else was, you are speaking to that this is for the incentives and the receipt of the dedicated.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure that they're combined in the resolution.
And no concerned agencies? Had comments or
They
remarks?
either did not respond, or,
No, positive.
like the Water Authority, they sent me that they had no interest, but they sent me their checklist of the things that they will require. DEC also sent a nice note that we're doing anything in the stream, we needed an Article 15 permit. Since then, part of the stormwater thing, Mike Haley, our regional permit administrator, has met with his guys from Habitat and Fisheries, and they're in support of the project. So short answer is the only comments we've had are ones that are technical about how to submit the plans and get the permits once you get going.
In terms of the wording of the resolution, is the dedication of the road, that's part of the incentives of what is included in this resolution?
You may need to amend that to include the dedication of the road, water, and sewer.
I think I would be uncomfortable in doing that in one resolution.
Okay.
Unless.
Well, the board can take those under dedication at another meeting.
Oh, this is what was on our desk when we came in.
Yeah, actually, the water, you don't take under dedication, that'll be Monroe County Water Authorities. I used the model of the 20th of December 2011 for I-squared, and at that meeting, the board only took the square footage.
Larry, have you considered, like, wording to the effect that the dedication would be taken upon the staff's review and acceptance of the work at its completion? Normally, the towns have done it, the other ones before time.
I would say that's correct language, because basically you're dealing with the superintendent of highways.
Correct.
And then the commissioner of public works and his superintendent of sewers.
So they would agree, basically, as part of this resolution, to take it in dedication upon his acceptance of the work being completed to his satisfaction.
That's correct.
And that's typically what we would see in that language of a resolution like this.
Well, unfortunately, that's not the language we
Yeah,
have.
We don't have that.
Just do it as a separate motion, and put language to that, and then have it added as a separate approval.
Or can we have an amendment?
I'm going to try to work up an amendment here just for a second.
You want to table this to the end, or what do you want to do? You want to?
Is he doing some
Well,
language for you right now?
why don't we, let me work up here.
My concern at this point is when you start messing around with stuff like this, it has been my experience that it causes more trouble than it solves. And I'm getting uncomfortable, and I think.
Well, why don't we, if you want to, let's put it to the end, or go through some other business. We'll try to get up the form and give you a complete resolution for you to look at and vote on before we're done.
It's your call, madam. Or you guys, what do you think? How do you feel about it? Would you rather just table and do it at another meeting with an incoming board, or?
I think it's literally a sentence that we need to add at the end of the last paragraph.
My problem is I've heard that before, sir. I'm not comfortable. I'm just not comfortable.
Because this one we have in front of us is going from 8,000 to 15,000. That's the resolution in front of us.
Right.
Right.
That's a big difference in dedicating roads and taking on, I don't know, I'm just. Yeah, I'm going to make a motion to table this.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor of tabling this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries to table this resolution.
Thank you. We'll get it done, but we need to be sure it's done properly.
Okay.
Are you talking about taking it to the other boards and re-educating them on completely on everything that's been done today?
Well, it's possible we could have another special meeting before that time, but we need to be sure that this is done properly.
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm just concerned that, this board has had a full opportunity to understand this project, and we took the time to meet with any concerns that the incoming may have, the supervisor at least. I'm just concerned that the other board would have a further delay in trying to be brought up to speed with where we are. And that's just a concern that, we have to understand we're in a certain
Oh,
time
absolutely. It's a very valid concern.
So if there's any possibility that we could move that along any quicker, and I'm not trying to do anything inappropriately. I'm just saying that after 30 years of this experience, sometimes the re-education of a board can take quite a long time for them to get to a comfort level because they just haven't been involved with the project whatsoever. And I apologize for making that, sound like we're trying to rush something, but it's not that. It's really just the timeline that's involved.
Sure. I understand your concern. My concern is we don't have a proper resolution here, and I'm not comfortable coming up with it on the fly.
Counselor Primo is pointing out to me that this reads, based on the incentives proposed and accepts those incentives.
We have voted to table this.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Back in order? Do you want to go back to?
Yeah, we'll go back to number 2 then.
Items for board action. Item 12A, 2013-2, approving the 2014 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting schedule.
Moved.
And second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, Larry?
Whereas the Arundecoyt Zoning Board of Appeals meets in the Broderick Room on the first Monday of each month, and whereas the 2014 meeting schedule for the Zoning Board of Appeals has been submitted to the Town Clerk's office for approval by the Town Board, and now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board authorizes the 2014 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting schedule as follows. Closing dates, December 6, 2013, for meeting date December 6, 2014. Would you like me to read them all?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that was kind of abrupt.
It ends October 31st, 2014 for the December 1st, 2014 meeting. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 12A, 2013-3, approving the 2014 Planning Board workshop and meeting schedule.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, Larry?
Whereas the Arundecoyt Planning Board meets regularly twice a month for a workshop meeting and a public meeting, and whereas the 2014 workshop and meeting schedule for the Arundecoyt Planning Board has been submitted to the Town Clerk's office for approval by the Town Board, please see attached. There is an attached 3-column schedule. And now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board authorizes the Planning Board to continue convening one public regular meeting and one public workshop meeting per month. Be it further resolved that the Town Board adopts the following 2014 meeting schedule for the Planning Board. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 12A, 2013-4, approving the 2014 Conservation Board meeting schedule.
Okay, in a second, I'll second it.
Whereas the Conservation Board meets once a month in the first floor conference room at the Town Hall on the first Wednesday of each month, and whereas the 2014 meeting schedule for the Conservation Board has been submitted to the Town Clerk's office for approval by the Town Board, and now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board authorizes the 2014 Conservation Board meeting schedule as follows, beginning with January 8th, 2014 and ending with December 3rd, 2014. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 12A, 2013-6, filling one Arundecoyt Planning Board vacancy.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Whereas the term of Peter Wayner expires December 31st, 2013, and whereas the Town Board desires to reappoint Peter Wayner for a term of 7 years, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Arundecoyt approve the following reappointment. Peter Wayner, Planning Board member, term expires December 31st, 2020. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Thank you. Any discussion going out to 2020?
Good Lord.
Hearing none, let us vote?
I still
All
can't believe
those
it's
in
the 2000s. Anyway.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 12A, 2013-7, filling the chairman of the Arundecoit Planning Board vacancy.
I'll move it. Oh, thank you. Second?
You want a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Whereas Peter Wayner of the Planning Board, in which he serves as chairman, term expires on December 31st, 2013, and whereas Peter Wayner wishes to continue as chairman of the Planning Board with term expiring on December 31st, 2015, and whereas the town board desires to reappoint Peter Wayner as chairman of the Planning Board, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Arundecoit approves the following appointment. Peter Wayner, Planning Board Chairman, term expires December 31st, 2015. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Okay.
Done a fabulous job.
He has.
Lucky to have him.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. He wanted to be here tonight, but he was called to Albany on
so
a
sorry.
project for their firm, building a new firehouse out in Albany.
Oh, nice.
Item 12A, 2013-8, approving the 2014 special events calendar.
I'll move it.
And I'll second it.
Peter?
Whereas the 2014 special events schedule has been submitted to the town clerk's office for approval by the town board. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the 2014 special events schedule. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Excellent.
Okay. One of the things we want to point out, because library, BBQ, Blues, and Books was so successful, we're going to pick up Friday night. I guess you can't say rock on if it's blues, but as well as Saturday. So we anticipate it's going to be even bigger and better and even more successful this year. So that is excitingly on August 22nd and 23rd. And we have our typical Memorial Day, Flag Day, 4th of July, Irish Fest, Oktoberfest, holiday craft show and sale, Veterans Day, holiday tree lighting, and the Spectacle of Lights, which is still going on this weekend. Any discussion?
And it's our 175th anniversary.
It is. It will be the 175th anniversary of the town of Arundecoit in 2014.
Okay.
So it'll be a good reason to celebrate for many things in the town of Arundecoit. Hearing no further discussion, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 12A, 2013-9, authorizing an appropriation transfer within the 2013 Police Department budget in the amount of $2,675.
And a second.
Second.
Okay, Chief.
Whereas the Arundecoit Police Department Criminal Investigations Unit requires the replacement of a copier machine that will assist in the sensitive nature of the investigations conducted by this unit. And whereas the estimated cost to replace the copier is $2,675 based upon New York State bid criteria. And whereas the funds for such equipment are currently not available in the equipment line items for the 2013 Arundecoit Police Department budget. And whereas the police vehicle lease account 001-3120-4220 has funds available in the amount of $2,675 due to the competitive bidding process that occurred in 2013. Now therefore be it resolved that the comptroller is authorized to transfer $2,675 from account 001-3120-4220 to the office equipment account of 001-3120-2135 within the 2013 budget of the Arundecoit Police Department for the purpose of acquiring the aforementioned copier. And be it further resolved that the town board grants authority to the town supervisor to execute any and all documents related to this agreement.
Thank you. Did you want to talk anything about it?
Sure. This is a replacement copier for a piece of equipment that unfortunately is no longer functioning and cannot be repaired due to the fact that it's gone beyond its useful life. Based upon the recommendations from the director of the IT department, this was an opportunity for us to purchase a piece of equipment as opposed to leasing it, which would result in a $500 savings over the 3 years of the lease versus owning it for the rest of its life, which we should see in excuse me, an 8 to 10 year life cycle on this.
Thank you.
And maintenance is included in?
That is correct.
Any discussion?
We had it at the workshop.
Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 12A, 2013-10, awarding of a 2014 or newer diesel heavy-duty street sweeper.
Well, because I'm such a clean freak, Patrick, I'm going to move this.
Second, please.
Second.
Thank you.
Maybe we could use it inside.
To try to save a little time, I'll paraphrase a little bit here.
That would be great.
I've got 5 really long resolutions here. So,
Yeah, we don't have to read.
I don't want you to be confused when I skip a couple things here. Whereas the Highway Department sweeps town and county roads for maintenance and paving activities within the town of Arundecoit, and whereas whereas the Highway Department desires to purchase a heavy-duty street sweeper to handle the high volume of material that is typically accumulated at the side of the road from typical road activities and material from trees, and whereas it is advantageous to have the streets routinely swept, which reduces the amount of debris that enters the storm sewers. This allows the storm sewer system to work more efficiently by allowing runoff stormwater to flow properly. Clean streets also improves the appearance of the roadways in the town. And whereas the town of Arundecoit requested bids for one 2014 model year or newer diesel-powered heavy-duty street sweeper, and whereas sealed bids were received and publicly opened and read on December 9th, 2013, and the lowest responsible bidder was J&J Equipment in the amount of $203,900, and whereas funding for this expense is available in the 2014 budget, account number 023-9785-6050, and whereas the town board has considered the matter in the context of the State Environmental Quality Review Act and determines that the purchase of the street sweeper is a Type 2 action for State Environmental Quality Review Act purposes as described in 6 NYCRR subsection 617.5C25, not subject to review under Part 617 of the state regulations. And now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby awards one 2014 model year or newer diesel-powered heavy-duty street sweeper to J&J Equipment in the amount of $203,900. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Thank you. And we have our detailed pages explaining. I think this one was pretty fascinating, discussing how this works. Any other discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 12A, 2013-11, adopt a resolution pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act with respect to declaring surplus a portion of the right-of-way located immediately to the west and north of 9 Veragua Drive.
And I'll move that. And a second, please. Second. Thank you.
Whereas the town board of the town of Arundecoit proposes to declare surplus and sell at market value a portion of the right-of-way located immediately to the west and north of 9 Veragua Drive. Whereas the town board has received and reviewed a short environmental assessment form dated November 4th, 2013 with respect to such sale of surplus property. And whereas the town board has reviewed the short environmental assessment form and has considered potential environmental impacts of such sale. Now therefore, the town board resolves that the sale of the surplus property is an unlisted action and it will not have a significant impact on the environment for the reasons set forth in the EAF and for the reasons set forth in the negative declaration attached hereto and made a part thereof, and that no environmental impact statement is required. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor shall file the negative declaration along with this resolution with the town clerk and forward these documents to any person who requests a copy. maintain the EAF and negative declaration in a file regularly accessible to the public, and be it further resolved that the requirements of 6 NY CRR 617 have been met.
Thank you. Any discussion?
No, these are just all tiny little plots of property that back up onto people's land, and the town so far has had, we have a lot of these pieces of property. They're off the tax roll, and I think it's a great idea that these neighbors get to purchase property that adjoins theirs. That property goes back on the tax roll, and it's a win-win for the town.
This property is right now currently encumbered by the property owner's gravel driveway.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 12A, 2013-12, declaring surplus a portion of the town parcel located immediately to the west and north of 9 Veragua Drive.
So moved.
And I'll second it.
Once again, I'm sorry for the length of this, but they're all pretty important paragraphs here. Whereas Mary Rowan of 9 Veracruz Drive, being the adjoining property owner, has offered to purchase a portion of the town right-of-way being commonly known as Veracruz Drive, situated immediately to the west and north of 9 Veracruz Drive. A vacant, unimproved right-of-way, approximately .14 acres, is described in Schedule A in an R1 residential district, and whereas the town owns the subject property and is empowered to dispose of it in accordance with the laws of the state of New York at fair market value. And whereas the highway superintendent of the town has, pursuant to the town law of the state of New York, declared the property to be abandoned and requests that the town board determine the property to be surplus for the purposes of selling the same. And whereas a fair market value appraisal of the said property in the amount of $1,500 was completed by Pogel, Shubnall, and Farrar LLC on March 21st, 2013. And whereas in addition to the purchase price of the property at fair market value as established by appraisal, all costs of the proposed transfer of title to the property, including but not limited to appraisal, abstract, instrument survey, transfer of taxes, recording and filing fees, legal notices, and legal expenses shall be borne exclusively by the purchaser of the property. And whereas the sale of said property is subject to a permissive referendum, which will be published in the local newspaper following the adoption of the resolution. And whereas at the time of and as a condition to the conveyance of the property or any portion thereof by the town to any purchaser, including Ms. Rowan, such purchaser will be required to submit to the town's planning director for approval a re-subdivision map showing such purchaser's property and the property or portion thereof acquired by such purchaser, which map shall be filed by such purchaser at its sole cost and expense in the office of the Monroe County Clerk. And whereas the town board is the lead agency for purposes of conducting an uncoordinated review of the disposition of the property pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the town board has reviewed a short environmental assessment form with respect to the disposition of the property. Now therefore, upon consideration by the town board of all written submissions, the town board having given the matter due deliberation and consideration, including but not limited to a review of the short EAF, it is resolved that the proposed disposition of the property constitutes an unlisted action pursuant to seeker and the regulations promulgated thereunder, and it is further resolved that the town board as lead agency finds that the unlisted action and the proposed declaration of the property as surplus and its associated transfer of title to the purchaser will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and accordingly hereby issues a negative declaration under seeker. And it is further resolved that the negative declaration has been prepared in accordance with Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law of the State of New York. And it is further resolved that the town board does hereby find and declare that the property is surplus and may therefore be sold in accordance with the requirements of applicable law. And it is further resolved that the portion of the property located to the immediate west and north of 9 Veracruz Drive be sold to Ms. Rowan, 9 Veracruz Drive, in the amount of $1,500. And it is further resolved that such sale is subject to a permissive referendum. And it is further resolved, in addition to the purchase price of the property at fair market value as established by appraisal, all costs of the property, transfer of title to the property, including but not limited to appraisal, abstract, instrument survey, transfer of taxes, recording and filing fees, legal notices, and legal expenses, shall be borne exclusively by the purchaser or purchasers of the property. And it is further resolved at the time of and as a condition to the conveyance of the property or any portion thereof by the town to Ms. Rowan will require her to submit to the town's planning director for approval a re-subdivision map showing such purchaser's property and the property or portion thereof acquired by such purchaser, which map shall be filed by such purchaser at its sole cost and expense in the office of the Monroe County Clerk. This resolution shall take effect 30 days after its adoption. Barbara, if you could strike the last four
Yes.
letters in that last paragraph, that would be helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job, Patrick. Now, just for the record, this purchaser owns property on both sides of this.
That's
She owns it on, is it the north and the south, or east or the
Yes,
west,
both
whatever it is?
north and south of
So
this section of right-of-way.
no other resident would want to have this piece of property.
No.
I think she's been trying for 10 years to
Oh,
buy
bless
it.
her heart.
So we appreciate her patience and we're able to do it.
Perseverance. See, the library, that's not so bad.
Okay. Any further discussion, questions? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 12A, 2013-13, adopt a resolution pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act with respect to declaring surplus of the right-of-way located between 157 Shore Drive and 191 Shore Drive.
Move.
And a second, please? I'll second it then.
These two resolutions, the next two resolutions are very much the same, but a little different from the previous two. Whereas the town board of the town of Arundecoit proposes to declare surplus and abandon the right-of-way located between 157 Shore Drive and 191 Shore Drive. And whereas the town board has received and reviewed a short environmental assessment form dated November 4th, 2013 with respect to such abandonment of surplus property. And whereas the town board has reviewed the short environmental assessment form and has considered potential environmental impacts of such abandonment. Now therefore, the town board resolves that the abandonment of the surplus property is an unlisted action and it will not have a significant impact on the environment for the reasons set forth in the EAF and for reasons set forth in the negative declaration attached hereto and made a part thereof, and that no environmental impact statement is required. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor shall file the negative declaration along with this resolution with the town clerk and forward these documents to any person who requests a copy, maintain the EAF and negative declaration in a file regularly accessible to the public. And be it further resolved that the requirements of 6 NYCRR 617 have been met.
Okay. Anybody want to ask anything? Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion, you're going to abstain? Okay, that's right, he should abstain. So that's 4 yes, 1 abstention. Thank you.
You know the people buying it?
Item 12A, 2013-14, authorizing the abandonment of Massasauga Drive.
I'll move it.
Second.
Whereas Massasauga Drive is a paper street that is located within the town of Arundecoit off of Shore Drive in between 157 Shore Drive and 191 Shore Drive. And whereas Massasauga Drive is a right-of-way that has not been maintained or developed by the town of Arundecoit for nearly 70 years, and whereas a former property owner of 191 Shore Drive had installed a driveway on the east side of Massasauga Drive nearly 70 years ago. And whereas an ingress-egress easement on Massasauga Drive was granted to the residents at 157 Shore Drive and 191 Shore Drive, and whereas the town of Arundecoit has not and does not foresee a use for Massasauga Drive. And whereas the town of Arundecoit would like to abandon Massasauga Drive, which would allow both neighboring properties the ability to use the land from their properties to the center line of the 40-foot right-of-way. And whereas the town of Arundecoit and other parties were named in a legal matter of which the portion of the settlement requests that the town abandon Massasauga Drive per Article 8, Section 205 of the Town Highway Law, and divide the unused right-of-way as described above. Whereas the town board of the town of Arundecoit is familiar with this legal matter and reviewed the settlement on February 19th, 2013. And whereas the town of Arundecoit has prepared a short environmental assessment form and considered potential environmental impacts of the abandonment of this right-of-way. And whereas the town of Arundecoit declares this abandonment as an unlisted action and it will not have a significant impact on the environment for the reasons set forth in the EAF. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby abandons Massaug Drive and allows each adjoining property owner to use the abandoned right-of-way from their properties to the center line of Massaug Drive. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Any discussion?
We've had way too many discussions about this over the years. It's a good thing to have it done.
I suppose you're abstaining, right? Okay. So, no further discussion. Let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those nay. And abstentions.
Yes.
Thank you.
Abstain.
So 4 yes, 1 abstention. Motion carries.
Item 12A, 2013-15, filling one Arundecoit Public Library Board of Trustees vacancy.
Move.
And
I'll
a second.
second it.
Thank you. Whereas a vacancy would be created by the expiration of the term of Francine Mannion, which expires December 31st, 2013, and whereas the town board desires to fill this vacancy by reappointing Francine Mannion as a member of the Arundecoit Public Library Board of Trustees, and whereas the term for this appointment to the Arundecoit Public Library Board of Trustees will expire on December 31st, 2017, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Arundecoit hereby approves the appointment of Francine Minion, Arundecoit Public Library Board of Trustees, term expiring December 31st, 2017. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Well, I just want to make a comment that Francine's going to be a great asset to the library board. She brings a very fresh perspective, and is at a point right now she's not as beat up as the rest of us.
Has a little bit more blood.
She's got more drive right now than the rest of us, but she'll be a very good asset to the board going forward, absolutely.
I was very impressed with the way you handled yourself with the informational meetings. It was great. I enjoyed your perspective. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
No?
Let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Francine, would you like to stand and be recognized? Congratulations.
Had an exciting
Thank
time
you.
to serve.
And I think we covered everything.
Mary Joyce, I'd just like to make a couple of comments that kind of piggyback what everybody has said tonight. You know, personally, I'd like to, thank you, Debbie, and Paul, really, for your hard work and dedication on behalf of the residents of the town. I think you guys really deserve to be recognized. It was never really about any political party each of us represents, but all of us had the same goal, and that was to better our community by working together. A lot of the forums we talked about to move that library forward, you had to have full cooperation from the town board as well as the library board. And, these types of projects do not get built without everyone being supportive. And with that said, you are all leaving on a very high note and an accomplishment that you all can be very proud of. Thanks again, and I appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay. Hearing no other for the good of the order, may I have a motion to adjourn? In a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We are adjourned.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Arundecoit Town Board on ICAT 12, Arundecoit's government access channel.